Hey everybody, welcome back to Decadence Weekly. Once again, joined by my good friend Dread in episode 10. I can't believe if like it's weird for me to say a double-digit number at this point because I still remember being a wee lad just starting the show 10 weeks ago.
Before we knew what we were in for.
Before we knew anything, we knew nothing before this. Um, And man, I feel like I'm like a broken record with this show that it continues to make me happy every week. This episode had some things that slightly grinded my gears, I guess, but not. They're really like nitpicky. But what an emotional like experience this episode was, I think, because it's just like we get to see Natsume more emotional than she's ever been, really breaking down, and just the discovery that she is basically a toy, basically like a pawn, and all the humans are basically like just NPCs in this game, and a lot of and then the ones that are fighting are putting their lives on the line, and in a lot of cases dying for nothing. Um, for a world that's manufactured, fighting alongside quote unquote comrades that are manufactured.
I'm
Um,
so glad that they went into the whole trust thing between them.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Because honestly, I don't
for
blame
like
her.
half the episode, she was just distraught and
Pissed off. I love her
like
punching the dashboard.
when she woke up.
Uh, then yeah, she and then just her just showcasing that emotion, and I really don't blame her. Like she is, you know, it's a weird situation to just you've lived your whole life like this one way, and you place your trust into people and into sort of like a what you perceive as like the system of life here, and set your goals and have like all of your efforts going toward like one direction, only to learn that like it's all manufactured. There's a lot of fake shit. Um, uh, but and I guess I'll get like out of the way what bugged me a little bit about this episode, and if I'm nitpicky, I apologize, I guess. But it just there was a lot of like I don't know if did you get the sense of like just recappiness in this one? Like I understand like after like upon finishing it, I understood that she has to come to the realization that like everything that she's done has to be like for a it has helped her, like it's toward a point, like it's uh there it, like Kaburagi clearly matters to her. She can still progress, she can still she has progressed. No, that isn't fake, she knows what's real. But there's just a lot of like little flashback moments in this, just a lot of like recycled sort of footage a little bit. And I get the point, but I don't know. It bugged me a little bit. Maybe my subconscious is just trying to dig for something to dislike here. But
I think it is because I think the flashbacks are important to her progression through realizing where her trust lies.
yeah, and I and it's also like I just think that I wonder how we're because we got 2 episodes remaining, and what's interesting I thought with like this episode was it sort of halted for a bit, and then we're really like I thought that we were I thought there was going to be a bigger like action sequence maybe in like this episode or something like that, or maybe some we were starting to engage in the bigger fight, and well, we didn't do that. I'm not saying that's like a negative that that didn't really happen. It certainly lays the groundwork for what is probably going to be a pretty thrilling conclusion, I hope. Especially given like the very last thing that happens here, with our man Kaburagi getting more than an arrow to the knee, if you catch my drift. Getting a hand through the chest. Um, and yeah, it's just, and it's emotional. Like, you get the little scene of him going back to see Pipe, who is not
No
there.
longer with us.
Rip Pipe, never forget. Uh,
At least his importance kind of makes sense now.
yeah,
Like, for the longest time up until they went to infiltrate the facility, Pipe kind of felt like he
unnecessary.
didn't belong. Like, he was just tacked onto the show, but at least now you realize it was kind of this. I hate to call him plot device, but he basically is.
Yeah,
To just kind of hurt Natsume more.
yeah, that's true. I enjoyed the letter, like Kaburagi wrote it, like the little the letter thing, and and even more so, like I love Natsume. Her reaction, right, when she meets him again, and because what is his verbiage? He's like, um, oh my god, I wish I could remember it. She makes fun of his, like, she's like, oh, and that's it, that's all you were gonna say. um, it just I love these two characters together because I love how um I love how human Natsume is, and I love how human Kaburagi is becoming. And I think that is a cool sort of like correlation that they have together. Um, uh, I don't I don't really perceive this as oh, I do wonder how in the next episode how is Kaburagi going to sort of like what is going to happen? How is Kaburagi going to come back? In
Well, so let's talk about kind of weird, weird spot to start off, I think. But I think with this episode, it kind of deserves us to start off with the ending.
yeah, I getting just seeing like the oh my god, what is the director's name? I can never remember his goddamn name.
Hugin?
Hugin. Hugin comes up with, like, he has the knowledge that she is going that Natsume is going to go back to where Kaburagi was living. She, of course, does so. We get this cool emotional moment where they talk about his letter to her and stuff like that. They make up. We're friends again. All good things, right? Not so much, because Purple Boy is popping through the door and stabbing right through Kaburagi's chest. And of course, this is Kaburagi's like fake avatar body. But that just leads me to believe, what is next, because in the situation his avatar body is, I'm assuming, pretty kaput, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get hold of Natsume here, or just flat out kill her. He says that the world must be rid of bugs. um, I wonder, are we going to get, like, how much does the shock factor halt Natsume's ability to fight this guy? Because
So this is what I think is going to happen. First, we have to deal with the new boss, the Gadol that was birthed out of the tech.
right,
Because apparently the genocide system doesn't kill
it's not so good.
eggs.
It's not that great of a genocide system.
Apparently, Gadols that are, I don't know what you want to call it, growing or being conceived inside of a human's body, don't die.
Yeah, the weirdly, yeah. I don't know how else to word it. But yeah, um, there is this one and growing, and it gets to be this huge kind of weird looking thing at the end. Um, uh, I didn't think it looked that great when we got to see it. They did like a weird, I think they did like a weird like CG kind of thing. It looked alright. It doesn't look. None of this has looked like horrible. But I don't know. It stood out a little bit to me. It looked a little odd. But that's a fucking big factor now. And so I am really hoping that in 11 and in 12 we're more so I guess with like 11 because I'm assuming 12 is going to have these like nice hopefully wrap up scenes. I predict that 11 is going to be the most action filled. Like
Yeah. So what I think is going to happen is in 11 we're going to fight that Gadal, and it's kind of going to be Natsume's show. But we also know that Kabu has his jetpack and Donatello has his cannon. The cyborgs can help out too. Except now it's actually a threat to them.
does Kaburagi have another proxy body to use still? Does he still have that?
He has like the newbie account that he could probably log into. But I don't know if they are going to go for that, being they'd have to log in on the battlefield.
Yeah.
I would like to see them fight as their cyborg selves. I think they'll be able to kill the Gadal, but I think when it comes to Hugin, Kabu's dead.
Those words, it sounds so cold in my ears. Yeah, I mean, it would be. I am dying for a scene with Cyborg, just to see Cyborg Kaburagi next to human Natsume. And just the realization of like, oh, that's what you really look like. um,
That's what I'm waiting for, because
it's gonna look so odd too with the art style.
she's still gonna see him the same.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be like, I can hear her voice like Kumicho, and he's gonna look up at her like, "Hi."
I'm hoping that we don't lose Jill. I want to point that out, or Kurenai.
Well, okay, so Kurenai. Let's go back to talking about her, because
Sure.
we didn't know where she stood in knowledge a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
Clearly, she's still in the dark, because if she knew something, she'd have been dead. We learned that with Natsume's father.
Yeah. There was like, and then there was a little like moment between Kurenai and Natsume in this episode where it's sort of awkward because Natsume knows obviously much more of the truth than Kurenai does, and she is obviously struggling with the realizations that she just had, and Kurenai gives her like a little like nice like rebound sort of like pep talk about it. I'm hoping that's not the last we see of her. It might be. I think we might see her in just some more battle. I think I'm kind of expecting that the series is going to end with Natsume maybe being the only human that knows basically everything. I think that we'll get to a point where it's getting chaotic on the battlefield and shit like that, and stuff is going down, and then the humans are going to start asking questions, but they're not. They all don't have Kaburagis for answers, and I think if we do end up losing Kaburagi, then the only one that could be, well, unless another cyborg were to step up, then the only one that would have like the proper answers would be Natsume. Then at the end of the episode, and I think we're going to have a triumphant ending.
Well, I don't think we can. I think we can't discount the fact that Jill might.
See, I think Jill is kind of just because they have. That's an interesting. So, I was interested by their sort of perspective when they escape and they get out to like the fucking Badlands or whatever. Like they get out and the Godal thing is all fucked and they're all dying off and shit's going down. They get out. They're going off the grid. They mention how like, oh, it's gonna take them like a couple years to fix what we broke. And so they seem pretty like I was wondering like what is like their goal now? Like what is like are they just gonna go live in the wild forever? Like
Well, they got out of prison,
yeah,
so that's their first goal.
right.
They can't really return to whatever you want to call it, the solid quake spacecraft
Yeah.
that they were logging in the Deca-Dence from, because they'll just get thrown into a different facility or scrapped. I think they're basically on the run right now, and that's the case until they take care of what they take care of. And being Kabu has a human to rely on, he can kind of play the in between, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, without an avatar, that's hard now. But I don't think she's too far away from him physically.
Okay. Um. So yeah, if so, maybe yeah, that would be nice if Jill could be another lend one more big helpful hand toward the conclusion of this. And Donatello, of course, I like those guys a whole lot.
We also have to account for Minato.
That's right. That's right. Um. Yeah, cause we did we see him at all this week?
Very shortly, I believe.
Probably just all pissed off about everything exploding.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a short scene of him saying, "Kaburagi, what have you done?"
Yeah. Um. Yeah. What is going to be his next step?
Because it's not like he wanted to report him to the system when he was in the rehabilitation facility. But if he starts seeing these things go down, there was the scene with him seeing the Godal showing up as well, and the game police like freaking out, not knowing what to do. So maybe the Fortress of Decadence will fight alongside them to take care of this larger. It's larger than Stargate was.
Yeah. The super mecha, super special, awesome, good all. um. Yeah. How do you think? Just like that little like the scene that we're like about to have between Hugin and Natsume. How do you think that that's going to play out? Because
I don't think she can fight him by herself. We
he's
already saw him. We already saw him fight Kaburagi's avatar and her, and they had to resort to running away.
Yeah, he's incredibly fast and powerful, and
I honestly think the only way that they're going to be able to fight him is if Minato helps them. He's probably the only one that can fill that kind of gap, you know?
mm-hmm.
And you're going to need everybody there. It's going to be like a whole Team Natsume versus Hugin and his bird.
Yeah.
Now, what Hugin you fight? Are you going to fight the Avatar or are you going to fight the real thing? Because if you just discard the Avatar, does that really get you anywhere?
Yeah. Maybe we can somehow fuck with his real self. Well, I'm assuming he's I mean, he's on the spaceship or whatever, I would imagine. Um uh I guess Minato would probably be the only one that's has an ally that has like the capability of doing it at this point. Um, it'd be
My own
interesting.
my only thing though is, at the end of the day, Hugin is just a pawn. We learned that at the very beginning. So if they get rid of him, they get rid of him. And we're still at this crossroads of only seeing a snippet of what's really going on in this world.
Hmm.
I think if Hugin is taken down and Solid Quake reacts in any fashion that's not withdrawal, we're gonna see more to this, even if it's just an OVA. I still keep thinking that even though it feels like it's ending, it's still only a snippet of the story.
Yeah.
And, we might not necessarily follow Natsume or Kaburagi or Minato, whoever lives the story in a second season. It might be a totally different cast of characters in a totally different situation that's similar because a company like Solid Quake or Solid Quake is doing terrible things. And it could become like this whole thing of just a world where different things are taking place and all these different stories. Kind of like how, you have Durarara, but you also have Bakuno. And
Hmm.
they are linked stories. They're just separated by time and geography.
Hmm.
Like, something similar there is what I'm thinking.
I can see that for sure. It'll be interesting. I'm really getting to the point where like I had said previously that I was pretty content with it being like one core, but I'm thinking with every week, I just like want to see more of like the world. Like the show has done a very good job of showcasing this unique world. I think the probably I like one of the best things about this is the setting and just how many questions you can raise, and then when they answer them they're very satisfying. And then you have other ones that it's not like annoyingly keeping you in the dark about things. It is you as the viewer have X amount of knowledge. Kaburagi as a character has his X amount of knowledge. The Natsume has the knowledge that she knows, and all of these things sort of um, going with each other and going against one another. You have all these allegiances going back and forth. So it's a incredible setting that is tied with interesting characters that spirals into this like crazy conflict, and where allegiances are bouncing all over the place. Um and I think it's going to get even more chaotic as we get to these last two episodes. Like we said, where does Minato stand? Um, what's going to happen with Jill and Donatello and shit? And how are we going to beat this giant Godal thing? Um, I don't know. It's what is the future between man and cyborg? Uh, yeah, it's super interesting. I can't wait for more of this. And if next week they said, "Hey, we're working on season Decadence season 2," I wouldn't be pissed off at this point.
What I would love to see is at the end of episode 12, one of those cards that says season 2 next summer or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Konosuba did that, I believe, with the movie.
Sangatsu did that at the end of season 1,
See you next season. Yeah.
which I would love. By the way, could we please get a Sangatsu no Lion season 3? Um, if Shaft is listening, because they totally are.
Akiyuki Shinbo. Please.
Yo, Aki Yukishimo, thanks for the sub, dude. Uh, but yeah, really cool episode. I can't wait for more to come. But yeah, I want to thank everybody that has been listening to these. Thank everybody that supports me on Patreon. You guys are really, really, really awesome. I'll have a link to that down below, as well as a link to Dread's awesome channel. Yeah, what did you guys think of Deca-Dence episode 10? How do you guys think that the series might progress going forward and everything? Yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys say. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time.